Hare Krishna, Namaste, Chapter 18, Sloka 66, Part 74. Sarva-dharmān parityajya, ekaṁ śaraṇaṁ vraja, ahaṁ sarva-pāpebhyo, mokṣayiṣyāmi śucaḥ. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. In the past, in the 64th Sloka, Part 2, and also in 66th Sloka, Part 19, Part 20 and Part 21, we learnt about sadhyopayam and siddhopayam. Sadhyam means to put one's own effort to attain a goal. Siddham means that which is already existing. There is no extra effort that one needs to put to attain the goal. There are many sadhyopayam that one can try, whereas there's only one siddhopayam. Bhakti yoga is sadhyopayam, and for that bhakti yoga, angam, the limbs are karma yoga and jnana yoga. For siddhopayam, karma yoga and jnana yogas are not angam, but karma and jnana are needed as upaya adhikara. Without knowledge and without anushthanam, practice, nothing can be achieved. Therefore, in siddhopayam, karma yoga and jnana yoga are not angam, but karma and jnana are needed. Let us be more clear. For one to attain bhakti yoga, one must practice karma yoga, which leads to jnana yoga, and then finally bhakti yoga. It's a staircase process, whereas siddhopayam is an elevator process where karma yoga is not needed, jnana yoga is not needed, but karma is needed and jnana is needed. Karma means one has to enter into the elevator. He doesn't need to make the elevator, but he has to enter into the elevator and press the button. Those are the activities. Likewise, the jnana should also be, not jnana yoga. Jnana, by me entering into this elevator, I will reach the top floor without any difficulty, without my own effort. The efforts like what is involved in bhakti yoga. So siddhopayam is taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord as upayam itself. For that one needs to know that is the only abode or shelter by which I can attain the Supreme Lord. The Lord's lotus feet are the only shelter by which I can attain the spiritual world. That jnana should be there. And not just jnana, one has to practice the qualities of surrender, anushthanam. That's the karma part. Those are the two things. Sadhyopayam, which requires karma yoga and jnana yoga as angam. Siddhopayam doesn't require karma yoga or jnana yoga as angam, but it does require karma and jnana as upaya adhikara. It makes one to become qualified to perform siddhopayam. These two must be obtained by Lord's mercy. Whether it is sadhyopayam or whether it's siddhopayam, one has to be a bhagavat nishtha, firm conviction in the Supreme Lord, by whose mercy one can attain Him, either through sadhyopayam or through siddhopayam. But even karma or jnana are not even required. It's not even a adhikaram when it comes to bhagavata sambandham. Meaning, if one has the association, a relationship with a devotee somehow or the other, even that karma and jnana doesn't play a role. It is not a requirement. One can simply attain the Supreme Lord, Supreme Abode. And this is not through Bhagavad Nishtha, this is through Acharya Nishtha. That is by the grace of Acharya, grace of a Guru. When one has a firm faith in one's Guru, that firm faith is sufficient enough for one to attain the Supreme Lord. There is no need of karma or jnana. That is the power of association of a devotee, a pure devotee. To illustrate this, let's see a story now. It is very well known as Kaisika Vrittanta, which comes in Varaha Purana. A part of the story we already saw when we did Bhagavat Apachara in part 62. Let's get started with the story. Once there lived a man at a place called Tirukkurungudi. He was well known as Nambadavan. His real name is unknown, but since he sings the glories of the Lord himself calls him as Nambadavan, one who sings about me, my glories, Nambadavan. He was born in a Chandala family where there is no much of culture, proper behavior, there is no mercy, any of those things. But Nambadavan was quite contrary to his family behavior. He was very pious and very deeply devoted to the Lord. He used to fast during every Ekadeshi, getting up early in the morning. On the next day, he used to go to the temple which was close by. He carries his veena in his hand and remaining at a distance from a temple, that is, he doesn't enter into the temple, he stays outside the temple and then start praising the Lord by songs, and this he has been doing for many years. On one such day, during a bright fortnight, that is Dwadeshi, the 12th day, he went to the temple early in the morning as usual. On the way, he encountered by a Brahma Rakshasa who was very hungry and who therefore expressed his desire to eat Nambadavan. Nambadavan was very happy to offer his body for the food of Brahma Rakshasa, thinking this is Lord's mercy to end his life in this suffering world so he can attain the supreme abode. But Nambadavan prayed to Brahma Rakshasa to spare just some time so that he may go to the temple and sing the songs as he does every time, and then return back and he can offer his body as a food to him. But Brahma Rakshasa was not ready to grant his request, knowing that who in the world will come back to be a food for a Rakshasa. Brahma Rakshasa thought he is giving false excuse, but Nambadavan made 18 promises to the effect that he would certainly return. And we learned these 18 promises earlier. So we are not going to go through those 18 promises, but then we will continue what happened after Nambadavan returned back to Brahma Rakshasa. Brahma Rakshasa let Nambadavan go with faith that he will come back. Nambadavan went to the temple and then he sang the song as usual, thus completing his vrata on that day, and then immediately got ready and he was returning back to offer his body with great pleasure to Brahma Rakshasa. As he was walking down back, there was another man that Nambadavan encountered, and that man asked him, "Where are you going with this speed in this area?" And Nambadavan replied, "I am going to meet Brahma Rakshasa." The other man was quite shocked and asked for the details. And Nambadavan explained the whole thing that happened. The man said, "Well, that Rakshasa is not like Vibhishana. Vibhishana was also Rakshasa, but this is a Brahma Rakshasa. This Rakshasa is not righteous minded like Vibhishana, but is a criminal. So you cannot escape from that cruel clutches of that Rakshasa, man-eater. But this is an opportunity for you to escape from that Brahma Rakshasa. Just take another route and you can go back to your house. And I can help you to show a different route to get back to your house without having to go through the same path and be eaten by that Brahma Rakshasa." This stranger, this man, was giving advice. But Nambadavan gently refused to take that advice. Nambadavan said, "It is better to die than fail to comply with promise made earlier. I cannot accept your proposal, your advice, because it is against my nature. Rather, I will go search for that Rakshasa, even if he is not present in the same spot, and then offer my body to him as I promised." The stranger was quite pleased by the response, and the stranger was none other than the Lord himself, who came to test Nambadavan. Nambadavan bid farewell and then continued deep into the forest to meet Brahma Rakshasa. And he was finally able to find the Brahma Rakshasa, and then the first thing Nambadavan did was expressing his gratitude to this demon for letting him go and seeing the glories of the Lord at Tirukkurungudi, where the Lord was in the form of Alagiya Nambi. Nambadavan said, "Now I am completely ready to satisfy your hunger. You can drink my blood, eat my flesh, and fill your stomach." Brahma Rakshasa, who was scary, who was in a frightful mood till then, was quite shocked that how in the world a person would come back to offer himself as a food to a Rakshasa. He cannot be an ordinary person. He must be a great devotee of the Lord. Thinking this way, he changed his mind. He decided not to consume Nambadavan. His interest has changed. He doesn't need Nambadavan's body anymore. Rather, he wanted something else. So, he proposed an alternate to Nambadavan. The Brahma Rakshasa said, "If you want to save your life and go without being hurt, I have a solution for it. You should part in my favor the phalam, the fruits of your prayers, the songs that you did for the Lord." Brahma Rakshasa was saying that if you can give a part of your phalam of your prayers, the song you did, then I will let you go without hurting you. Nambadavan said, "Well, I can't give anything, but I want to keep up with my promise. I am here, so you please better immediately swallow me, so my life can come to an end." Hearing the response, Brahma Rakshasa was further shocked. He climbed down from wherever he was and came closer to Nambadavan, and he started requesting that if you cannot give the fruits of your prayers, at least give a little portion of it. You don't need to give the entire fruits of your prayers. Maybe half of half, and I will still let you go without unhurt. Nambadavan said, "Well, let's stick on to our agreement. Earlier, you wanted to have my flesh and blood, which I am prepared to give you. But now you are asking to give you the gain by my devotion through the song, the music. I will not do that, and you cannot ask me anything other than my physical form. So Nambadavan was quite firm in his decision. Rakshasa came down further and he said, you don't need to give anything in big, but just of some duration, the result of some duration of your devotion, your song. If you do so, then you can quickly go back and join your children and family and be happy rest of your life. But Nambadavan would not budge for anything. He simply rejected all this proposal and said, I will not give you any palam of my song, but the music is in my blood. My devotion is in my blood. And if you want, you can drink it and satisfy your hunger. The Rakshasa realized that Nambadavan is not at all an ordinary person who will break his promise even at the threat to his life. And he also understood that he has a stronger faith on the Lord. He has faithful devotion unto the lotus feet of the Lord. He understood that he sees the Lord in everyone and everywhere, and he is completely detached from worldly things. And he has the strength of his bhakti in the form of music. With that, now the Brahma Rakshasa addressed Nambadavan, you are Mahanubhava. You are not an ordinary person but a great personality. I surrender unto you and I beg you, you must give me the fruit of at least one of the many songs you performed last night in front of the Lord, so I can be liberated from this horrible form. All his scary language and threatening things are all gone. He understood none of those things is going to help him. So now he fell at the feet of Nambadavan and begged for Nambadavan's mercy. Nambadavan, moved by the mood of this Brahma Rakshasa and felt compassionate for him, he asked, what sin did he commit to be born as a Brahma Rakshasa? By now, this Rakshasa, who gained the memory of its Purva Janma, the previous life, said that in his previous life he was a Brahmana by name Soma Sharma. He studied the scriptures, he performed yaga, yajna, and invoked many blessings from devatas. But because of his arrogance, lack of understanding, and incorrect utterance of mantras, Vedic verses, he earned severe curse. And without being able to complete the yaga, he had to die. Therefore, he attained a form of Brahma Rakshasa in this life. And he said, because you are a great devotee, I am totally surrendering myself to you to get me salvation. Hearing this story, Nambadavan felt sorry for Brahma Rakshasa, who was a Brahmana in his previous life as Soma Sharma, told Brahma Rakshasa that I do not do devotional service expecting some phalam, some results. I only do for the pleasure of the Lord. Therefore, I was not able to give you as you demanded earlier. But I can pray for you, I can sing again so that you get liberated from this miserable condition. Brahma Rakshasa, with full of tears, thanked Nambadavan for accepting to sing the song to help him get liberated from this miserable condition. Nambadavan sang the song in a raga called Kaishikam. By the effect of his song, the Brahma Rakshasa shed its form, became a great devotee by taking birth in a good family, devoted family, and then attained moksha. Nambadavan continued his devotion with greater force for longer time and ultimately reached the abode of the Lord. So what do we learn from this story? Somasharma, though he was a Brahmana, became a Rakshasa. But Nambadavan, though was born as a Chandala, was able to relieve the sins of a Brahmana. So we can learn that caste is not a criteria for us to salute or offer our obeisances to a person. If he is even a Chandala but a great devotee, if he has a great deep devotion towards the Lord, knowledge of the Lord, and one is totally renounced of all worldly pleasure, one must simply fall at his feet and get his blessings. One should never consider him by his birth. The caste belongs to the body, not to the Atma. Nambadavan was an elevated soul. Considering Nambadavan by his birth is a greater offense. Nambadavan by birth, he was low, whereas Somasharma by birth, he was great. But Somasharma got liberated by Nambadavan. But the truth is, actually it is Nambadavan who was higher than the Brahma Rakshasa, than the Somasharma. If we see by jati, by caste, we may conclude that Brahma Rakshasa, who was Somasharma and was in his previous life, was higher. Nambadavan, who was a Chandala, is lower. But this Brahma Rakshasa in his previous life was a Brahmana. Therefore, he had that ahankara, that he was a Brahmana. When there is ahankara, one cannot attain moksha. One cannot attain the mercy of the Lord. If one thinks oneself great based on their birth, high class birth, then that is ahankara. Whereas in the case of Nambadavan, there is no stinge of any ahankara at all, because he was not born in such a high class family. By birth he was Chandala. In that sense, that birth which is free of ahankara considered to be greater, whereas that birth which invokes, which creates ahankara, is lower. In that sense, Nambadavan is in the higher position compared to Somasharma, who was born as a Brahmana with ahankara. Therefore, irrespective of one's birth, if a person is a Vaishnava, a devotee of the Lord, one must, without any hesitation, fall at his feet and get his blessings. Somehow or the other, if we are related to such a devotee, if we have some good relationship, good association with such a devotee, our life becomes perfect. Our life becomes success. And this is what is mentioned in Parasara Smriti. Yamyam sprusati panipyam, yamyam pacchati chakshusaha, stavaran yapi muchyante, kim punar bandhava janaha. If anything that comes in contact with a devotee, even by a touch, even by his look, that thing get liberated. Then what to speak about those who have some good relationship with such a great devotee? There is no question about his salvation. And as we said earlier at the starting of this session, even karma and jnana are not a requirement for one who has Bhagavata Sambandha. By the Acharya Nishtha, one will simply attain the supreme abode. In this session, we learned how a low-born person can liberate even another person who is born in a high-class family. In our next session, we'll see another story where even if you're in a higher position, one can easily fall down if that person offends another Vaishnava. Thank you. Hare Krishna.